Hello everyone, welcome to PRATHAM Test Prep YouTube channel, and I hope you guys are doing well. So welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. I'm Ashish Bhargav. So in the today YouTube session that we discuss about lots of concept that is based on international relation and we Supreme Court verdict, and we can say about the opinion of journalist like in the opinion section of The Hindu and as well as Indian Express. So as we know that newspaper is playing a very vital role for everyone's preparation, irrespective of which exam you are preparing for. So this session is always from Monday to Friday at sharp 11:30 a.m. And here's a quote of the day: a little progress each day adds up to a big results. So try to focus on every day the newspaper analysis, because of the reason that newspaper questions that has to be framed in your current affairs sections in your exam, and that would be very essential if you are preparing for such kind of exams, and especially for the CLAT and AILET students, because the Supreme Court verdict is also important. And as we know that you have to work on the skills, because that skills is very important, because initially day by day you will see if you will see if you are daily reading the newspaper and hearing the newspaper analysis for the every day, so it will make a such kind of very good idea and chain of thoughts in your mind, so that you will be able to solve the questions in your examination. And we have initiated questions of the day, so at the end of the YouTube session that I will ask to you 3 to 5 questions, and that would be very important because of the reason that you have to develop such kind of temperament that is very important for your exam as well. Because at the end, whatever you have studied, how much books you have studied, which coaching institutes you have taken to prepare for the exam, but the important that are you able to solve the question that is based on multiple choice question MCQs. So develop such kind of temperament from the day one, so that it will be not difficult for you to solve the actual exam questions. So now further moving, here is the first news: inflation accelerates to 7.41%, highest since April. So September food inflation quickly sharply 8.41%, but what exactly we need to look it very carefully. So in the passes that you have to look it very carefully, what things we need to extract from these passes. So basically the first thing you need to keep in on, like what exactly is inflation is. Obvious, rise the price in commodities, rise the price of commodity, which means that goods and services, as we can say, rise the price of commodities, or we can say rise the price of goods and services, that is known to be inflations. What are the parameters through which that what are the indices that are used by government of India to measure the inflation? So there are two tools that has to be used by the government of India and as well as RBI, that is WPI and we can say CPI. WPI, which means that wholesale price index, and CPI, which is a consumer price index. Initially that RBI was uses the tools to measure the inflation in our country, that is WPI. Now we are using consumer price index, and I will tell you what exactly the reason for this. So in short, the 3-4 things you need to keep in mind: who publish WPI and who publish CPI. We'll discuss in this article. So you have to understand the nitty-gritty of the subject first: WPI and CPI, why the price is rising and demand in law. The inflation, I told you that commodity prices once increases, that is known to be a inflation. So there are two tools that will be used: wholesale price index and consumer price index. Consumer is here, for example, let me explain this, that for example here is the chana dal price is 70 kg, and here the shop, and that go to the wholesaler, and wholesaler having bound to purchase minimum 1000 kg and then goes to the factory. So the consumer taken this price as 70 rupees per kg, that is known to be a consumer price index. Why that this index is used by the RBI? Because the reason a consumer cannot buy 1000 kg. So that's why RBI using the consumer price index. Why not wholesale price index? Because wholesale price index, that wholesale price that is only applicable for the big like we can say the one person, like is a big money lenders, and as well as we can say an entrepreneur who are able to purchase 1000 kg of the chana dal. So consumer price index is published by the Office of Economic Advisor and Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So why inflation? Little bit of inflation is required, and why I am telling you, let's tell you some example. For example, if there is a person, there is an ex person who hired one 2 and 3 person is working there. So X person hired the 3 person who is working for the firm for the X. So at the end we need to understand, like X is have a 3 employees. Now the commodities is, for example, potato. He is potato seller and 3 employees working. Let's say example, the potato is, at that time the price was 20 per kg. Later on that price has to be inflated at around, we can say, 30 rupees per kg. So at the end, like we can say, the owner is getting, entrepreneur is getting 10 rupees per kg, getting more money. So he will hire more person, and we can say that it will help us in the economy, and it will help in the, we can say, the boosting the employment in our country. So we have to understand such kind of nitty-gritty, because sometimes the MCQs are such a level that the students are not have a command, not have written and have studied all these things, but unable to solve the questions because they are concept-based questions. There are such kind of concept-based question, especially for the economy domain students. So if the person is getting more money, is getting more taxes to the government of India, so production cost will be more people, more machine, and more power. So more taxes, which means more people, more machine, more power, more production cost will be in these 3 criteria. So little bit of inflation is required, but not more than that, because as we know, there is a term we can say that hyperinflation. Hyperinflation, as we can see, the recent way in Sri Lanka has faced hyperinflation. The 1 kg chicken price is rupees 1200 rupees per kg. So that kind of things we need to avoid it. That's why I told you little bit of inflation is required to boosting the economy. What causes inflation? Inflation is the overall general increase in the price of goods and services in an economy. As its roots, inflation is typically caused by the rising root of goods and services. Demand for inflation, when the demand for goods and services within the economy outweighed the economy ability to produce these goods and services. Because of the reason, limited addition is something, and more people is to buy. That is going to be an inflation. For example, if the 1 kg potato is rupees, for example, 50 rupees per kg earlier, now it's 200 per kg. It means that the number of people required more, because is a kind of perishable item which required, irrespective of the person who is from the middle class family, low class family, is able to purchase this. But if the price goes high at 200 rupees per kg, the person is unable to purchase this. So that's when we can say demand pull inflation. And then cost push inflation. And what exactly is cost push inflation? When an increase in the cost of the production goods and services increases prices. For example, if the farmer is here, and the main farmer is here, we can say is an agricultural land is there, and he is producing 200 kg of potato and goes to the Wazirpur Mandi, which is located in New Delhi. So for example, the transportation cost is, for example, earlier it was 50 rupees or 500 rupees. Now it has extended the 250 rupees. So in that case, we can say the price goes high, because obvious the reason, the consumer, the shopkeeper was not able that price from itself. So they will applicable to the additional cost to that commodities, and price goes high. That is known to be a cost push inflation. Next we can say built-in inflation. So when workers expect their salaries or wages to increase when price in goods and services increase to help maintain their living cost. So in short, that we can say when workers expect their salaries or wages to increase when prices of goods and services increases to help maintain their living cost. So in short, we need to understand that workers expect their salary and wages. For example, if you have the purchasing power, so in short that we can say that earlier the person have a purchasing power is low. So once the salary goes high, तो obvious person expect कि चलो ठीक है मेरी salary increase होनी चाहिए. That is known to be a built-in inflation. Now we need to understand wholesale price index and consumer price index as per the definition. Amount the average change in price of commodities at the wholesale level, and consumer price index indicates the average change in the price of commodities at the retail level. So that's why retail level price has to be known by the RBI. If the question is RBI uses which indices to measuring inflation in our country, so that is known to be a CPI. Earlier it was WPI. Published by Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, WPI, and here we can say Central Statistical Office, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Measure of prices, goods only, and here goods and services. So now you got to know if the reason is that why RBI using CPI, because of its measure goods and services, and WPI measures only goods. Measuring inflation, first stage of transactions, wholesale price index is the final stage of transaction, because as we know that here's the agricultural land and here goes to the wholesale price, wholesale shopkeeper, and then goes to the retail shopkeeper. So obvious the reason is the first stage of transaction here, and here it is the all final stage of transactions. Prices paid by manufacturer and wholesaler, and here is only prices goes to the consumers. Used by only a few counting countries including India, that is use WPI, and 157 countries using CPI. Types of item, manufacturing inputs and intermediate goods like minerals, machinery, basic metals, etc. And if you talk about CPI, like education, communication, transportation, recreation, apparel, foods and beverage, house and medical care, that is used by the CPI tools. Items covers as 697, here it is 448, and 460 it is rural and urban market. So that we have already discussed that it measures price changes in the perspective of retail buyer. It is released by National Statistical Office, NSO, and CPI calculates difference in the price of commodities and services. And the base year CPI 2012. And why we have base year 2012? We compare at the price of 2012 and now, so that government compare the how much price is goes high. Monetary Policy Committee is quarterly release the data of CPI to control inflation below 7%. Wholesale price index that we have already discussed, the Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It is most widely used inflation indicator in India. Major criticism in this index is that general public does not buy products at wholesale price. The base year of all India WPI is 2004 to 5, 2011-12 and 2017. WPI tracks inflation at the producer level, and CPI captures change in price level at the consumer level. WPI does not capture changes in the price of services, which CPI does. And April 2014, the RBI had adopted the CPI as a key measure of inflation. Next news is Home Minister to launch Hindi version of first year MBBS books on October 16. So Union Home Minister, who is Amit Shah, will launch the Hindi version of first year MBBS textbook in Bhopal on October 16. With this, Madhya Pradesh will inch closer to becoming the first state to provide medical education in Hindi. So what kind of current affairs questions can be framed in your exam? Which state first used Hindi medium for the MBBS student? The answer would be here Madhya Pradesh. Nothing more required in this article, because all the information is, we can see that not relevant for your exam perspective. Next is Tamil Nadu notifies India first slander lorries century. So first in the country, the Tamil Nadu government on Wednesday notified the Kadavur slander lorries century covering 11,806 hectares in Karur and Dindugul districts. Cylinder lorries is a genus of lorries native to India and Sri Lanka. Cylinder lorries spend most of their life in trees, traveling along the tops of the branches with slow and precise movements. They generally feed on insects, reptiles, plant shoots, and fruit. The habitat is normally tropical rainforest, scrub forest, semi-deciduous forest. Can anyone tell in the comment section that semi-deciduous forest and tropical rainforest, how many rainfall is required? And Kadavur Reserve Forest. The forest is located in Karur district of Tamil Nadu with the forest area of around 6,000 hectares. The forest consists of hills and dense dry areas. Nothing more required in this entire article. So being a student, you must know that which things is very important for the exam point of view. Next article is the court and the problem with this collegium. As we know that Supreme Court, the collegium system is, what is collegium system? So I just told you in the deep dive session. So please look it very carefully. Deep dive session, go to the first, what you need to do, go to the Pratham Test Prep YouTube channel and go to the section of the playlist, and playlist there is a separate playlist for the deep dive session. There is two person that who will taking classes, the Hema ma'am, who is taking also classes of deep dive, and She has explained in a simple and very lucid way what is the abortion law in our country. So please guys look it very carefully, deep dive session especially for the CLAT and AILET students, because this is very very important, one who is preparing for the law exam, because ma'am have shared the very good information about this abortion law in our country. And second thing that you need to keep in mind that we have already discussed about the collegium system. And what is the reason? Once again, the collegium system is solely responsible for transfer of judges and appointment of CGI in our country. So in collegium system, including that there is a four senior most judges plus one CGI, that is 5 person including CGI. So once again, the collegium of the Supreme Court in India in the news, and once again for the wrong reasons. This time it is because of the difficulty that is the 5 judges have the getting together in one meeting. The Chief Justice of India, Justice U. Lalit, assumed to office on August 27, and he has short tenure and demits the office on November 8th. Nevertheless, he tries to set a, we can say, scorching pace. He constitute as many as 5 constitution benches and hear extremely important matters, which this producer put on the back burner. The CGI also take it upon himself for the fill 6 vacancies as per the Apex Court. So there needs to be a better broad-based and transparent method of appointing the senior judges to the High Court and Supreme Court, because in India the judges decided the senior most judges, and we have to keep an eye that since independence till now we do not have any women's Chief Justice of India. Make sure, I'm telling you once again, there we do not have any women CJI. There are women judges in our country. So there is National Judicial Appointment Commission, NJAC, and as we know that the history behind this, 2014 the parliamentary by that marked the word that backed by the state legislature enacted the National Judicial Appointment Committee, and that committee comprises 3 judges and the law minister and 2 eminent persons to handle the task of appointing judges. So by 4-1 majority, the Supreme Court struck the down, setting the not the entire legislature will be the country which are trying to reverse a constitutional coup. It is the court which was concerned about overruled in appointment. It could have their tinkered with read down the act, deleted the second eminent person, and thus secured a situation where the judges were in the majority. So the collegium system is again in the news because of the reason that one judges decided to the another judges, and there is certain kind of who decided senior most judges, that is no kind of any voting is there in the collegium system. So collegium system, as I told you, it is a system of appointment and transfer of judges that has evolved through judgment of the Supreme Court and not by the act of parliament or by a provision of the constitution. And where it was the evolution of this system, the first judge case 1981, it declared that the primacy of the Chief Justice of India's recommendation of judicial appointment and transfer can be refused for cogent reason. Second judge's case in 1993, the Supreme Court introduced collegium system. So make sure that if the collegium system was origin in the second judge case, that is 1993, Supreme Court introduced collegium system, holding that consultation really meant concurrence. It added that it was not the CGI individual's opinion, but an institutional opinion formed in the constitution with the 2 senior most judges in the Supreme Court. And third judge cases, Supreme Court and President reference expanded the collegium to 5 members body, that is enshrined in the article, that is in the third judge cases. So third judge case, 5-member body comprising CGI and 4 senior most judges. The collegium required 1 CGI plus 4 senior most colleagues of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court collegium headed by CGI and comprises 4 other senior most judges, and High Court collegium led by Chief Justice and 4 other senior most judges. So we can say High Court judge and Supreme Court judge, there are 5 members including the Chief Justice. So judges and higher judiciary are appointed only through the collegium system, and the government has the role only after the names have been decided by the collegium. For example, collegium tell that X person would be appointed, so government is not bound, but yes, the X person would be in the reference. The government role is limited to getting the inquiry conducted by the Intelligence Bureau if a lawyer is to be elevated as a judge in the High Court or the Supreme Court. So there is limit power, because as we know that in India that we have independent judiciary system. So Intelligence Bureau, it is a reputed and established intelligence agency. It is authoritatively controlled by the Ministry of Home Affairs. That is not the body that who is responsible for, but yes, in the case of dispute, that case goes to the Intelligence Bureau. Procedure for the various judicial appointment for CGI, President of India appoints CGI and other senior most Supreme Court judges. As far as CGI is concerned, the outgoing CGI recommendation, his successor in practice, it has strictly by seniority ever since the separation controversy of the 1970. So this is what about the collegium system is. The collegium sent the recommendation to the law minister, who forwards to the prime minister and advises to the president. So the system is the collegium system recommend to the law minister that X person would be appointed, and from our side, who forward the prime minister and to the advice, and then prime minister, which is the head of the council of ministers, goes the advice to the president, and president appoint the CGI. This is what the system is going on. Constitution provision you need to keep in mind. Article 124 of the Indian Constitution provides the judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the President after consultation with such a number of judges of Supreme Court and the High Court in the state as the President may deem necessary for the purpose. And Article 217 of the Indian Constitution states that judges of the High Court shall be appointed by the President consultation with the Chief Justice of India and Governor of the state, and the case of appointment of judges other than Chief Justice of the High Court. This is all about the Article 124 Supreme Court judge and 217 for the High Court judge. So only need to keep in mind that Article 124 and 217. So what is the collegium system? We have decided the forum which decide appointment transfer of judges comprises India 4 Supreme Court judges including CGI. Not including, excluding 5 members are including CGI, born from 3 judges cases which give primacy to CGI colon 80 appointment and transfer. And criticism is that administrative burden of checking professional background data, closed for or affair, lack transparency, and that all kind of thing that is not needed. But yes, for the students, sometimes in an interview, that you need to ask, they will ask you what kind of issues is going on. So that times that we can see that some changes sort like CGI cannot make unilateral choices, consulted judges must be required. There should be kind of voting system is there. Next news is despite setback, India UK officials hope to conclude talks on the trade pact soon. Initially, you have to understand like why England is not a country. First thing, England is not a country, and why it is so. See, England is not a country, United Kingdom is a country. So, England, Wales and Scotland, we can say that is known to be Great Britain. Scotland, England and Wales, that is known to be a Great Britain. That all 3 countries that are known to be Great Britain, and Northern Ireland and we can say United Kingdom is considered that Scotland, England, Wales and Great Britain, the all 4 known to be a United Kingdom, that is also Northern Ireland as well. So England is not a country. First thing you need to understand. And then India UK officials, so let's have a look on that difference. As I told you, Great Britain having Scotland, England and Wales. United Kingdom, which means Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland. British Isles, that is Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland, that is known to be all island together. So this is what the difference of Britain, Great Britain, United Kingdom and UK, and that in short we can say, and England is. So England is not a country. India-UK Free Trade Agreement is that recently India and UK have launched the formal free trade agreement. Both countries has contemplated the entering free trade area, which will result in reducing tariffs on most of the items. Tariffs, which means that, for example, here in India and here in UK, if you are exporting any items, so they will not impose any kind of tax. If from the Britain to India, United Kingdom to India, if any items goes, that we will not impose a tax. That is known to be tariffs. So both countries agreed to an early harvest scheme or limited trade agreement and lower tariffs on a small set of goods apart from easing rules or selective service. Also, a target of doubling the trade between India and United Kingdom by 2030 has also been set. So India and UK has vibrant democracy with a partnership built in our shared history and rich culture, because a rich Indian diaspora in the UK, which acts as a living bridge, adds further dynamism to the relation between 2 countries. And UK is one of the largest investors in India. So this data you need to keep in mind. UK, United Kingdom is one of the largest investors in India among the G20 nation. Significance of FTA between India and UK. So increasing exports of goods trade deal with the UK could boost export to the large job creating sectors like textile, leather goods and footwear. So India is also expected to register a quantum jump in the export of marine products through the recognition of 56 marine units in India. Next is no more indictment under Section 66A of IT Act. In 2015, it found that police powers to Section 66A too wide with scant respect for individual liberty. And right to liberty, which is enshrined in our article, is Article 21A. Not 21A, 21 is right to education, sorry. So Article 21 is talking about right to liberty. Because Supreme Court ordered the state and their police forces to stop prosecuting free speech on social media under Section 66A. So article free speech and expression, which is enshrined in Article 19 of the Constitution. So what is the court said? The Supreme Court struck down a provision in the cyber law which provides power to arrest a person for posting allegedly offensive content online. At the public right to know that to directly affect the person, Section 66A of the Information Technology Act and the similar act, that IT Act 2000. So that this provides clearly affect the right to freedom of speech and expressions. Terms like annoying, inconvenient, grossly offensive use in the provision are vague, as it is difficult for the law enforcement agencies and the offender to know the ingredients of the offences. So when judicially trained minds can reach on the different conclusion while going through the same content, and how is it possible for the law enforcement agency and other decide to what is offensive and what is grossly offensive? And what may be offensive to a person may not offensive to the others. Might be, for example, something that is very normal to the or abnormal to the X person, that could be the abnormal for the Y person. Because I'm just telling you, for example, if a Hindu person is telling against about the Hindu, if a Muslim people, that might be the majority of Hindu do not have any issue, but that can be effect to the Muslim community as well. So that kind of things, that what may be offensive to a person may not offensive to the others. Contentious section, that 66A punishment for sending offensive message through communication service at any person who sends by means of computer sources and communication device. Any information that is grossly offensive, has menacing character, any information which is known to be false, and you are trying to sending the rumors to the person from the any social media websites, that comes under the Article 66 IT Section 66A. After inspection, government stopped Madan Pharma unit from the making drugs, because according to tentative results for 23 samples of medicine tested in Gambia had been found to obtain diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol. WHO had informed India also, because there are many cough syrups, as we can say, that is having a kind of alcohol that was badly affected to our kidney system. The Central Drug Standard Control Organization (CDSCO) that has announced to the pharma industry. So India made syrup to death in Gambia. World Health Organization issued an alert about 4 Indian manufactured cough syrups which are said to be linked to the acute kidney injury in children and 66 death in the small Western African nation of Gambia. So WHO ने इस चीज़ को बताया कि unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol as contaminants. These ingredients are not allowed in food or drugs, as they can cause abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, severe injuries and neurological toxicity. The company said that these were not sold in India and are the only 2 export markets already approved by the DGCI, Drug General Controller of India. So what is the related regulations in India? Drug and Cosmetics Act, Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and Rules 1945 have instructed various responsibility to central and state regulators for regulation of drugs and cosmetics. It provides the regulatory guidelines for issuing license to manufacture Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani medicine. It is mandatory for the manufacturers to adhere the prescribed requirement for licensing of manufacturing units and medicine, including proof of safety, effectiveness, compliance and good manufacturing practices. Central Drug Standard Control Organization (CDSCO) prescribes standards and measures to ensuring the safety, efficacy and quality of drugs, cosmetic, diagnostic and device in the country. CDSCO regulates exports of drugs in India. Any manufacturer with the certification from CDSCO can export drug outside India. Drug Controller General of India, DGCI, is the head of department of the CDSCO of the Government of India, responsible for the approval of license of a specified category of drugs such as blood and blood products, So DGCI also sets a standard for manufacturing, sales, import and distribution of drugs in India. The next article is a day to explore beer necessity. About sloth beer are usually found in Sri Lanka, India, Bhutan, Nepal, predominantly in the lowland area. Sloth beers primarily eat termites and ants, and unlike others beer species, they routinely carry their cubes on the backs. They are also very fond of honey, so it is also known as honey beer. So in MCQ, what kind of questions can be framed? Like sloth beer is also known as, that is also known as honey beer because they are fond of honey. Habitat already forest dwelling members of family UCD comprises of species of bears that inhabits tropical or subtropical region of India and Sri Lanka. Putin says Russia can provide gas via Nord Stream 2. As we know that Nord Stream 2 has most of the gas pipeline and goes to the European nations getting fuel from with the help of Nord Stream 2. Due to Russia-Ukraine invasions, that we can see it has affected the route of Nord Stream 2. So as we can see in the map that here is the Baltic Sea and here the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. Here is the Finland, which is the world #1 happiness people is there. Why I am telling you, because since the two last year the World Happiness Index, in World Happiness Index Finland is always in #1. Okay. So what is Nord Stream pipeline? Nord Stream consists of two pipelines which have two lines. Nord Stream 1 is 1,224 km underwater gas pipeline running from Vyborg in northwest Russia to Lumbi in northwest Germany via Baltic Sea. So Baltic Sea is important. It is completed in 2011. And Nord Stream 2, we can say that Lingard to Lumbnin, which completed September 2021. The capacity to handle 55 billion cubic meters to gas per year. The twin pipelines together can transport combined total of 110 billion cubic meters of gas a year to Europe for at least 50 years. Nord Stream crosses the exclusive economic zone ECZ in several countries including Russia, Finland, Sweden, Denmark and Germany, and the territorial waters of the Russia, Denmark and Germany. So in Germany, the pipeline connects the OPAL through the Baltic Sea. This is need to be important. And as for Russia, which has the largest natural gas reserve in the world, around 40% of its budget comes from sales of gas and oil. This data needs to be recalled. At the time of examination, there is probably a chance that they will ask you Nord Stream 2. Sometimes they will ask the Nord Stream 2 is what? So it's a gas pipeline connected by the many European countries. So Nord Stream 2 is important because it eliminates the risk related with sending gas through transit countries, cuts operating cost by doing away with transit fee and gives direct access to its most important European customer and Germany. This is all about the articles. Now it's your turn, guys, to solve the questions of the day. So here is the first questions of the day. Here is first. Consider the following statement about the Mahakaleshwar temple. The recent our Prime Minister visited over there, Mahakaleshwar temple, that we had covered this article in the yesterday YouTube session. So you need to keep in mind about Mahakaleshwar temple. Kalidas, the great Sanskrit poet of Gupta times, mentioned the rituals of the temples of works in Meghduta. The temple complex was destroyed by Iltutmish during the raid of Ujjain in 1234-35. The temple in its present form was built by the Maratha general Satanjali Ghodpade. So, which statement is correct? So obvious that we had covered this article. So answer is A. Mahakaleshwar temple is one of the 12 Jyotirlinga dedicated to Shiva in the ancient city of Ujjain, that is now located to Shipra river, that we had already covered. Kalidas, the great Sanskrit poet of Gupta times, mentioned the rituals of temple in the works of Meghduta. The temple complex was destroyed by Iltutmish during the raid of Ujjain in 1234-35. The present structure was rebuilt by Maratha General Ranoji Shinde in 1734 C, reign of Bajirao I. So Ujjain city, previously known as Avantika. This is known to be very important. So Ujjain city, earlier known as Avantika, has a status of devotional epicenter. It was also one of the primary cities where students went to study holy sculptures. So this article was, as we can see, a nation achieves glory when it takes to pride in heritage, is PM Inogen, and that article we have already covered in the yesterday YouTube session. While further moving, next one. Which one of the following best describe the term greenwashing? A, B, C, and D. Conveying the false impression that a company's 2019's product to eco-friendly, non-exclusion of ecological environment cost, ignoring the disastrous ecological consequences, making mandatory provision for environmental costs. Always the first is the right answer. Greenwashing is the process of conveying a false impression or providing misleading information about how a company product and are more environmentally sound. Greenwashing is considered as we can say, unsubstantiated claim to deceive consumers into believing that a company products are environmental friendly. That is not about greenwashing. Next one, Ukraine can approach which of the following international forum to stop war by Russia? ICJ, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court, European Court of Human Rights. So as we can see it here, option A, someone telling option A, and someone say option B. Okay. So the answer would be all three. D, 1, 2, 3 is the right answer. International forum approached by Ukraine to stop war, United Nations. International courts such as International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court, European Court is the human right. And here's the last question. Consider the following statement regarding Internet of Things, IoT. It is the internetworking by physical devices, vehicles and building embedded with electronic software and sensors and network connectivity. It has the ability to transfer data over a network without requiring human to human or human to computer interaction. It works only on virtual private network, VPN. Mansavi said here option C, that 1 and 3. Option B is the right answer. See, 1 and 2. It is not only work on VPN, virtual private network. So IoT is a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical and digital machines, object to people that provide a unique identifiers. Like as we can see in the movies also, that sometimes people say open the door now. So that is work on IoT. Thus, it can be said it is the internetworking and physical devices, vehicles, building and other items embedded with electronic software, sensors and network connectivity. The internetworking has ability to transfer data also, and we can say network without requiring human to human or human to computer interaction. IoT is also dubbed as an infrastructure of information society. It allows objects to sense and control remotely across existing network infrastructure. VPN, virtual private network, is used to communicate securely between computers, and IoT can run on public network as well, but not only. The word why it is used, the word is here. At present, it only work on virtual private network, so that's why the statement would be incorrect, because of the word is only. If the statement would be it can be used on VPN, that would be the answer. Then 1, 2, 3. So I hope you enjoyed our lesson a lot. So we will meet you on the Monday. So stay tuned. If you have any queries, please let us know in the comment section as well, and share to each and every. If you are new in this channel, please subscribe the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll meet you tomorrow. From Monday. Stay tuned. Bye bye and take care, and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining with us. Bye bye and take care.